and look critically at what we're being told by politicians. And in a country where people do critically ask whether politicians are doing the right thing, that is proper democracy. And I'm saddened to see that so many people out there, including our friends in the media, aren't bothering to question what's going on in this country. We are here, locked down by the government with draconian laws that are forcing us to stay away from friends and family, draconian laws that are forcing businesses to close, draconian laws which are seeing mothers of children actually go to prison now. What type of country are we in right now? This is not the New Zealand that I grew up in. And the reason why I think I'm the only member of Parliament standing here is because so many of my colleagues in Wellington just want to go along with whatever they're told, and they're not prepared to stand up for the freedom that they swore an oath for. I sat in that Parliament and I voted against the lockdown laws that are there. I was saddened to see that at the last time there was a vote on these issues in Parliament, I was the only member of Parliament to vote against the recent amendments to the COVID laws. The government's COVID laws are a huge overreach into your personal lives. It's a huge overreach into your personal freedoms. And they're going to keep doing it. The only strategy they have is continued rolling lockdowns. If they get rid of the virus very soon in the next few weeks, if it pops up again, the only strategy they have is to force you back into your homes. It's wrong, it's undemocratic, and it's against free liberties. So many in the government and in the media don't want to film this type of protest because they don't want to see New Zealanders standing up for their rights. But more and more New Zealanders are asking the hard questions, getting answers where they can online, getting answers where they can in international research. And I have to say as well, congratulations to those freedom fighters from COVID Plan B. They're the only ones in New Zealand in the science community asking those hard questions. Let's give them a round of applause. I'm also proud of the fact that we have courageous people, mothers like Claire, fathers like those in the community that I've seen, grandparents who don't normally protest. I have to say, I think this is only the second time in my life I've ever protested, but I'm here because these are so fundamental to our way of life and the future of this country. The future of this country is at stake in the next couple of months. The future of your children's country is at stake in the next couple of months. And if we don't stand up and do something, if we just blindly go along with whatever we're told, we're going to continue to see laws implemented that take away our freedoms and liberties. We are in a situation where the government is locking down a country off a virus that now we know is not too dissimilar to the flu. Would we ever lock down a country for the flu? No! Absolutely not. But that is what's happening here. They don't want you to listen to anyone else talking about this issue. They expect you just to listen to whatever's said to you at the 1 o'clock press conferences. But in a democracy, you ask the hard question because it's your country, it's your future, and it's our children's future. And that's why we're here. So I want to say to each and every one of you, we're going to stand up to the government on this. We're going to stand up to the complicit media on this. We're going to stand up to the other politicians because National, Greens, New Zealand First, they're just as bad as the Labour Party. Just as bad as the Labour Party. This is our country, this is our democracy, this is our future. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being here. Let's keep doing this. Next week, I don't want to see 500 people, I want to see 5,000 people. And at the election, I don't want to see 5,000 people. people. I want to see 500 and 2.5 million people standing up for their freedoms. It starts here, starts now. Thank you very much.
Where's Elliot? There you are. Come, join us. Ka tangini titi, ka tangini kaka, ka tangi huki koi te he mori ora. Whakalofa atu, so welcoming to see all of you here. A century ago, our fathers and our grandfathers got on ships, went over to foreign shores to fight for New Zealand sovereignty, for New Zealand freedom, and the right to speak. Our people bled and died and lived to bring us the hope for our future generations, that we may be able to choose our own destiny, to choose what we say and choose what we speak to do in our lives. Over the last 2 years, we lost the right to speak out for those sacrifices. We look at what happened in just the last year. Anzac Day cancelled. The year before that, most Anzac Days cancelled. And what I see is a much deeper problem and a much deeper sickness that has gone into our government. The very rights, the sacrifices of our very men, the brothers, our grandfathers, our fathers who fought in wars of blood, fear and hope are now being eroded, removed and dismantled and taken away. What we have seen since 2017 is a government who is no less eroding our very rights and our values and our freedoms, removing it away policy by policy by policy. And COVID is only the latest opportunistic grab that they have. From the very start, Andrew Little has been speaking to the UN about changing the Human Rights Act. We have him on quote saying that. We have policies and dictates from this government, and what they're doing is they're removing our rights. The abortion law, our rights and our voices were taken from us. The firearms debacle, our rights and our voices were taken away from us, taken in place. And what they don't realize is that this is our nation. This is ours. The United Nations does not rule here. We rule here. We fight every day. The sacrifices of our fathers and grandfathers are in our blood, poured out in places like Gallipoli, places like Chunuk. We must remember the honour and the sacrifices of our brothers who are dead over there, that we do not lose it here. The sickness that has gone into our parliament over the last 3 years especially is hurting and causing us great pain. Like I said, COVID is the scraps, the seagull that is the current politicians, the seagulls that they are grabbing onto. They are transferring their power. The latest bill that transfers a great amount of power, the Section 11 powers, into the hands of so few has never been done. The power to be able to direct your children to have vaccinations. The power to direct your very right to move how you want to move. These are our people. These are our children. We will say what's right for our children. I stand here not with men and women, but brothers and sisters who see the sickness of democracy that's gone into. We stand together, we fight together, we raise our hands, and we say that New Zealand is ours. God bless you, God bless New Zealand.
Wow. Speaking of rights and freedoms, I've been given the word you might not be social distancing quite enough. So, the police have been wonderful. The police are marvellous. they have a little concern that maybe we're not keeping to the...
Who cares?
What rule is it? 2 minutes?
Who cares?
So, look, let's just shuffle around a little bit. Plus, it'll make the crowd look even bigger. Just, make sure you're... I've done my bit.
Don't consent.
Oh yeah, Drew. Okay, keep to your bubbles. That's the one. That's the rule, isn't it? I should really, clue up on that. Wouldn't it be great to have those last two speakers in Parliament together? I don't even care about the differences. I just care about what they have in common. Anyway, all right, guys. You intelligent, educated, caring, freedom-loving patriots. We're nearly ready to march. Are you ready to march for freedom? Are you ready to march for freedom? Yeah, well, keep your hair on, hold your horses. We're not quite there yet. We have one more excellent speaker before we head down Queen Street. Welcome, Damien Demin.
Can you all hear me very well? Show me a hand if you want some liberty. Give me a hand. All I can tell you is that real democracy is a conversation. And right now, this government is deaf as a post. They have no interest in listening to you or I. And neither does the media who support them. The idea that we have freedom of speech is absolutely an illusion. Okay? I can tell you now that the news media, if they genuinely cared about all Kiwis, they would be here recording this right now and putting it up. And instead, they don't show up. They have no interest in your voice. Nice. So they have no interest in listening to your views, and that's why it's important. You have to become the news now.
Yes.
We cannot rely on the news media to share our thoughts, our feelings, our fears. Okay? And I myself have been impacted by COVID. I've been impacted in COVID. I lost my job last month because of COVID. There is such fear in this country right now. Their lack of business confidence because of the constant shifting and wavering that this government is doing to all of us. It's shaking us to our core. But the thing is it's our bravery that is going to be the cure. We have to be the bravery. You cannot expect that other people are going to fight this fight for you. You must become revolutionaries in your own revolution, because these people are quite comfortable in Wellington. Jacinda Ardern making $500,000 a year is quite cushion her job, and she frankly, if this was a pay-for-performance situation, she would have been gone by now, okay? I know plenty of people who've lost their jobs who could replace her for a fraction of that price. So Jacinda doesn't really listen to you. She doesn't listen to anyone else, but she will listen to the United Nations. She will listen to only one side of the medical debate around therapies that are effective and work well for COVID. And we could be back in business. We could open up our borders and we could welcome the world in, because we need tourism. We need jobs. The best social program you'll ever see is giving someone a job, okay? Handouts don't work. Handouts make you and me broke, okay? Handouts mean that while it might feed our bellies today, but we're gonna pay for it more and more and more into the future. Your kids who haven't even got a job yet have already mortgaged themselves into the future to pay for Jacinda's spending. And it doesn't have to be this way. You are being led down a path to be told that the media is right and that you shouldn't question them, and that Jacinda is right because she says she's the only source of truth. Now, far out. If that's the only source of truth, we are all doomed, okay? If that's truly the case, we're all